For decades, Argentinosaurus, a titanic sauropod from the Late Cretaceous period, held the title as the largest known dinosaur. With size estimates ranging from 30 to 35 meters, or 98 to 115 feet in length and weighing up to 80 tons, its massive size made it a symbol of prehistoric gigantism. However, recent studies and re-evaluations of fossil evidence have suggested that there may have been even larger sauropods, Supersaurus and Maraapunisaurus. These colossal dinosaurs, both from the late Jurassic period, are now competing for the title of the largest terrestrial animals to have ever walked the Earth. Although evidence for both remains fragmentary or contentious, their hypothesized dimensions are extraordinary and continue to inspire fascination. Supersaurus, meaning super lizard, is a genus of diplodocid sauropod dinosaur that roamed North America during the late Jurassic period, approximately 153 to 145 million years ago. It was first discovered in 1972 by Vivian Jones, a fossil hunter from Delta, Colorado. The fossil remains were found in the Middle Morrison Formation, particularly within the Brushy Basin member. This geologic formation is renowned for its wealth of late Jurassic fossils, including iconic dinosaurs like Stegosaurus and Allosaurus. Supersaurus stands out because of its incredible length. The 3 known specimens, including Jimbo, one of the best preserved Supersaurus skeletons, suggest a size range of 33 to 40 meters, or 108 to 131 feet in length. Some estimates, based on scaling from the largest bones, hypothesize that the biggest individuals may have exceeded 40 meters, or 130 feet, placing Supersaurus among the longest dinosaurs ever discovered. One of the features contributing to Supersaurus's extreme length is its elongated neck and tail, characteristic of diplodocid sauropods. Its tail alone may have measured more than 50 feet, and it likely used this immense appendage as a counterbalance to its long neck, or as a defense mechanism, whipping it with tremendous force. Supersaurus's proportions enabled it to graze on vegetation across vast areas and heights, dominating the ecosystems of the late Jurassic period. Despite its incredible size, Supersaurus's fossils have remained relatively rare, with only a handful of specimens discovered. Nevertheless, the bones that have been studied, such as vertebrae and parts of the shoulder girdle, provide strong evidence that Supersaurus could rival or even surpass Argentinosaurus in length, though likely not in mass due to its more slender build. Maraapunisaurus is perhaps the most mysterious contender for the title of the largest dinosaur. Originally named Amphicoelius fragillimus by renowned paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope in 1878, Maraapunisaurus is known from a single fossil bone, a massive dorsal vertebra, that was measured, studied, and described in the late 19th century. However, this critical fossil has since been lost, and all that remains of it are Cope's descriptions, field notes, and illustrations. According to Cope's documentation, the vertebra was an astounding 5 feet tall, far larger than comparable bones from any other known dinosaur. Using this measurement, scientists have attempted to reconstruct Maraapunisaurus's size by scaling it against related sauropods. These reconstructions suggest that Maraapunisaurus may have been up to 58 meters or 190 feet in length, with a mass estimated at 150 tons, far exceeding Argentinosaurus or even Supersaurus. If these estimates are accurate, Maraapunisaurus would not only be the largest dinosaur, but the longest terrestrial animal to have ever lived. Its sheer size would have made it a dominant force in the ecosystems of the late Jurassic Morrison Formation, where it likely shared its habitat with other massive sauropods and formidable predators like Allosaurus. However, the loss of the original fossil remains has left scientists grappling with uncertainty. Without physical evidence, the dimensions of Maraapunisaurus are based solely on Cope's 19th century notes, which some researchers have questioned. Researchers argue that errors in measurement, fossil misidentification, or overestimation could have inflated its size. To address these concerns, modern paleontologists have offered more conservative estimates, placing Maraapunisaurus's length between 30 to 40 meters, or 99 to 131 feet. Still extraordinary, but within the range of other giant sauropods like Supersaurus. Despite the ongoing debate, the legend of Maraapunisaurus endures, captivating the imaginations of paleontologists and dinosaur enthusiasts alike. If rediscovered evidence confirms its enormous size, it would redefine our understanding of the upper limits of sauropod gigantism. The Morrison Formation, where Supersaurus was discovered, is one of the most significant fossil-bearing formations in North America. Stretching across several states, including Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming, the Morrison Formation was a dynamic environment dominated by lush floodplains, river channels, and forests. This habitat supported an incredibly diverse array of flora and fauna, making it a hotspot for late Jurassic dinosaurs. Brian Curtis of the Arizona Museum of Natural History presented his findings at the annual meeting of the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology and stated that while Supersaurus has earned its place as one of the longest dinosaurs, studying this colossal creature comes with significant challenges. Much of what is known about Supersaurus is based on incomplete fossil evidence, primarily consisting of shoulder bones, vertebrae, and fragmented remains. This scarcity makes it difficult for paleontologists to reconstruct its full anatomy with certainty. However, comparisons to closely related diplodocids such as Diplodocus and Apatosaurus have allowed scientists to make informed estimates about Supersaurus's appearance and behavior. Advances in technology, such as 3D scanning and computer modeling, have also enabled researchers to create more accurate reconstructions of Supersaurus, providing new insights into its size, biomechanics, and lifestyle. Despite these challenges, the discovery of multiple specimens has strengthened the case for Supersaurus's extraordinary length. Fossil remains found in Wyoming, for example, have provided additional evidence of its immense size, further solidifying its reputation as one of the longest dinosaurs known to science. Regarding Maraapunisaurus, due in part to later reports that the location of the femur and the vertebra is unknown and that all attempts to identify them have failed, the enormous vertebra has frequently been overlooked in descriptions of the largest dinosaurs. In 2006, Kenneth Carpenter offered one theory as to why the specimen might have vanished. The neural arch bone material was extremely delicate, as Cope pointed out in his description, and methods for preserving and hardening fossil bone had not yet been developed. The first person to employ such resins was paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh, Cope's opponent in the early 1880s. Carpenter noted that extensively worn mudstone, which has a propensity to crumble and break into tiny irregular cubes, would have preserved the fossil bones known from the quarry. Thus, shortly after Cope depicted the bone in rear view for his paper, it might have crumbled severely and been thrown away. According to Carpenter, this could help to explain why Cope only sketched the vertebra once, instead of from several perspectives like he did for his other findings. Carpenter described in 2018 how Cope's collections were sold to the American Museum of Natural History in 1897, following his passing. William Diller Matthew was unable to find numerous significant items during the cataloguing process, including the holotype. Using ground-penetrating radar to image bones still buried in the earth, an attempt was undertaken in 1994 to move the original quarry where the species and others had been discovered. The approach was unsuccessful because it was unable to distinguish between the fossilized mudstone bones and the surrounding rock due to their same densities. When Lucas found Maraapunisaurus, the fossil-bearing rock layers were likely significantly worn. This suggests that much of the skeleton had already vanished by the time the vertebra was obtained. Paleontologists have argued over the vertebra's enormous size. Given that the paleontologist's reputation was on the line, Carpenter has maintained that there is every reason to believe Cope. Cope's competitor Marsh, who was ever ready to humiliate Cope, never questioned the allegations, and the finding occurred during the Bone Wars. Marsh may have obtained proof of the bone's great size and was known to have used spies to keep an eye on Cope's findings. Cope's data was also unquestionably acknowledged by paleontologists John S. McIntosh in 1998 and Henry Fairfield Osborne and C.C. Mook in 1921 in published reviews. There have been more critical paleontologists. Carrie Woodruff and John R. Foster, in a 2015 study, concluded that the size of the vertebra has been overestimated and that contemporary paleontologists were accepting Cope's interpretation without exercising the necessary skepticism after analysing the evidence and the circumstances surrounding the publication and interpretation of the discovery. They point out that no similarly enormous sauropod fossils have been found in the Morrison Formation or anywhere else, that paleontologists of the 19th century, including Cope himself, ignored the size of the fossil, even though it might have supported Cope's theory that animal lineages grow larger over time, and that typographical errors in his measurements, such as reporting vertebral measurements in meters instead of millimeters, degrade their accuracy. In a 2018 publication that redescribed the species using Cope's description and picture, Carpenter once more defended the initial measurements provided by Cope. Cope didn't specify the use of millimeters, and researchers have stated that this was a typographical error. However, Carpenter notes that meters are also abbreviated with a capital M, and that this was a common practice at the time. Furthermore, he cited a correspondence between Lucas and survey geologist Ferdinand van der Veer Hayden, in which the great size was unquestionably repeated. Carpenter believes it is doubtful that Lucas would have been simply repeating Cope's words because he frequently took his own precise measurements and drew drawings of his fossils. Lucas later made explicit reference to the specimen in his autobiography in 1880, stating that this animal must have been a monster, dispelling the notion that the vertebra was not given enough consideration. Carpenter said in response to criticism of the typographical hypothesis that it is unfortunate that they seek to disprove Cope's claim by casting aspersions about the quality of his work and go so far as to alter Cope's measurements. After examining the specimen's drawing once again, Carpenter discovered that it resembled the vertebrae of ribachysaurid diplodocoids. After re-examining it, he determined that it was a ribachysaurid and that it could not be assigned to the genus Amphicoelias. As a result, he gave it the new generic name Maraapunisaurus. Carpenter was reportedly influenced by the work of paleontology enthusiasts who posted on the DeviantArt website. Paleontologists have long been fascinated by sauropods, the massive, long-necked dinosaurs that dominated Earth's ecosystems during the Mesozoic era. These giants were the largest terrestrial animals ever to exist. For decades, scientists have wondered how sauropods achieved their exceptional sizes. A groundbreaking study conducted by Dr. Michael Diemek, an associate biology professor at Adelphi University in the United States, has shed new light on this evolutionary puzzle. The research reveals that sauropods evolved their immense sizes, not just once or twice, but up to 36 times over a span of 100 million years. Rather than growing large due to a single evolutionary event or adaptation, the study found that sauropods were able to repeatedly evolve into giants as they filled ecological niches available to them. This discovery challenges conventional ideas about the linear progression of evolutionary size increase and underscores the adaptability and diversity of sauropods throughout their long evolutionary history. Before this study, paleontologists generally believed that sauropods grew to their enormous sizes gradually over evolutionary time. According to this traditional view, changes in body size were seen as a relatively linear process, with sauropods progressively evolving larger as an adaptive response to predation, resource availability, or reproductive advantages. It was also theorized that certain key innovations, such as efficient air sac respiratory systems or column-like legs for weight support, allowed them to reach such extraordinary dimensions. The assumption was that sauropods achieved their size through a limited number of evolutionary events, wherein their body structure adapted once or twice to take advantage of their environments. This theory, while compelling, failed to explain the diversity of sauropods that existed across millions of years and continents. Dr. Michael Diemek and his team at Adelphi University challenged this long-standing idea by analyzing an extensive dataset of sauropod fossils, including their skeletal structures, teeth, and ecological niches. This repeated evolution into giant forms indicates that there was no single factor or evolutionary breakthrough that enabled sauropods to grow so large. Instead, their success stemmed from their ability to adapt to diverse ecological niches. Dr. Michael stated that there is no one key factor, event, or evolutionary innovation that that led to sauropods becoming the largest animals ever to walk the earth. Instead, it seems that it was the right place, right time, and right circumstances. The study found that individual sauropod species were ecologically distinct from one another. This means that different species of sauropods evolved unique adaptations, such as variations in teeth, skull structure, and body proportions, that allowed them to coexist without directly competing for the same resources. For instance, sauropods with narrow, pencil-like teeth were likely specialized for stripping leaves from branches, while those with broader teeth may have consumed tougher, lower-lying vegetation. Similarly, differences in neck lengths and body sizes allowed some species to feed at greater heights, while others focused on mid-level or ground-level plants. By evolving in distinct ways, sauropods successfully filled ecological roles that enabled their coexistence and continual growth. The study's conclusion highlights the incredible adaptability and evolutionary flexibility of sauropods. Their ability to repeatedly evolve into giants over millions of years reflects an evolutionary strategy driven by opportunity rather than necessity. Whenever an ecological niche became available, such as an abundance of plant material in a particular habitat, certain sauropods were able to evolve traits that allowed them to exploit those resources effectively. This process, known as adaptive radiation, enabled sauropods to thrive in diverse environments and maintain their dominance over such a prolonged period. Their enormous size provided them with significant advantages, such as protection from predators, access to higher vegetation, and increased efficiency in energy storage and reproduction.